graciously donated his time and willingness to do this presentation. So give it up for Tony.
Okay, everybody can hear me? Okay, basically, I'm just going to be showing, make it come right. Andy, UK started with that, correct? Yeah, the UK started Transformers 2 months after we did in '84, and actually the Japanese didn't start till '85, and they, in their line, actually they merged the two lines for '84 and '85 basically. Excluded some items such as Ratchet and Ironhide. Ratchet was a Takara direct thing through Star, their version of Stars, and then Ironhide. I guess they didn't like Ironhide. Yeah, Ironhide. Toys weren't the greatest. Basically, I'm not going to go into the toys they had for Transformers. Basically, the toys are from Takara Toyland, such as Diaclone Adventure World or Diacron, or whatever way you want to pronounce it, and Microman, which is somehow related to Micronauts, basically. And but I believe Hasbro's the one that came up with the idea for Transformers. So first line basically was redone toys, but so most of them were different colors. And of course had the bio cards, and that's basically when Americans started that. Yeah.
So one of the boxes.
Right. Okay. In this shot, in the upper right-hand corner, they have a white version of Astro Train. Actually, one of the gentlemen from Japan brought one today, and I'm going to buy it off him. One of the harder pieces didn't exist for very long. Actually, Andy Dornan over here told me that it was available in France, right? And I don't know if it was available in the United States. I'm not really sure. And another thing about the Japanese toys, most of them came in boxes with styrofoam. There weren't any blister things inside the boxes. They came with foam, and most of them had smaller boxes. The boxes were generally smaller. The marketing, I assume, I don't know, in Japan, is a little bit different. They have things in smaller packaging. Some things were the same size, but generally packaging was smaller. And I'm not sure if the mini box were done in blister cards. I've never seen one, so probably though. Okay, then I'll be showing the other side. Yeah, I'll tell you about Megatron. Yeah. Okay, as you can see, reflectors in this catalog. It was boxed. They sold it in a box. I've never seen it, but a few people from Japan said it was boxed. No tech specs were done in the first year for Transformers. They had some kind of a bio, not very detailed. I mean, ours aren't that detailed, but they're for very small children. And they didn't, have the tech spec, actually, the wavy lines and everything. They didn't start that till '86. Pictured here is our version of Megatron without the fusion cannon and with a sword. Their first version of Megatron was not tooled for the fusion cannon or the accessory, so it came in. There's one in the display room, the smaller box. And then he's not chrome, he's just a regular gray color. And he has blue on the inside of his arms and the legs. Later on, the next year, they did the Goodbye Convoy set, Goodbye Megatron set, and that's a set with Megatron and Starscream. And they did the first tech specs. They just basically copied ours and did it in Japanese. And that version of Megatron was tooled to have the fusion cannon, but it didn't have the other accessories. And pictured on the Goodbye Megatron box, they show the actual one that's not chrome, and with blue, but the one in the box is red. And it's very strange because the first box one showed this one in the picture with the red. So they had things backwards. What else? The Goodbye Megatron set also came with a nice cell poster, which is also on display. And yeah, by the way, the paintings for Megatron, the box for the first version, he has a sword and it's a different pose. For the second version, they did our picture, except that it's got blue instead of red in the color scheme. And oh yeah, by the way, swoop is a little bit different in Japan. If you notice, if any of you have the box, you notice Swoop has a gold mouth, and the one that Hasbro released, it was like a softer plastic, red plastic one. According to the people in Japan, they did have the ones with the gold mouth. They make a big deal out of it. I don't know if anybody really cares, but yeah, he told me that. I asked people at Hasbro at the GI Joe convention, why that might have been done. It could, I thought maybe safety, but they said it could also be, it could have been costs, tooling costs or somewhere there, but nobody knows really for sure. Probably some kind of cost or safety, something like that. The safety standards in Japan aren't quite as stringent as ours. The Megatron, both versions of Megatron, the Megatron set and the original one, are spring-loaded, and they do come with pellets that you could shoot out of them. So, and the first version of Megatron had blue pellets, and the second one had red. So, okay, we'll go on to the next year with original stuff. Basically, 5 in the UK, Dinobots.
Oh, yes.
Okay, Dinobots, they didn't have Swoop. All of Europe did not have Swoop. And that's why he's rather popular among the people in Europe and in England, especially. A few years ago, when we started contacting people overseas, they're like, I want Swoop, I want Swoop, I want Swoop. So, very popular. And then he was lower production here, I believe, or just not as popular. Compared to the other ones, are probably a bit more popular. 86 for the UK, they didn't release the deluxe Autobots as well. Skylings, Omega Supreme, Devastator, but Devastator was available in Europe, so was Trypticon, but Omega Supreme and Skylings were not available. I don't know exactly why they had them in mainland Europe and they didn't have them in Britain. Possibly something to do with trading restrictions or how strong the dollar was. Also, somebody at Hasbro told me at the other convention, they take them to the buyers, and the buyers basically pick out what they want, and if they don't want a certain product, they don't carry it. So it's possible that Toys R Us and Woolworths, the big chains in the United Kingdom, didn't want Swoop, and they didn't want, but it's not the only reason. There's probably many other reasons. Not sure, but speculation. Okay. Yeah, there's nothing original, right? Yeah. Okay. The next catalog I'm going to be showing is 87. Basically with Headmasters, they had a few original toys, and he came with Steel Jaw. And then over to your right, they have the Train Bots. Basically, they were the only, these are like the first ones that really had kind of Japanese names. Basically, they kept a lot of them, except Twin Cast. Before Twin Cast, Blaster was called Broadcast instead of Blaster. I'm not going to go over all the names. I'm sure they have a list they gave out, right? Yeah, there was a list made out, so you might want to refer to that. Yeah, if you look at the bottom, you see Battle Beasts. Yeah, they call them Beast Formers. in the Japanese Headmasters animated TV show, I think it was one episode, they had Beast Formers, Battle Beasts, and I don't know the story behind it. Basically, most Japanese collectors consider Headmasters the worst animated TV show for Japan, story-wise. Animation was a bit better. They didn't air the Rebirth Part 1, 2, and 3 because the character designs were different than in their series. Their series, most of the characters looked like the toys. In ours, it looked like the comic book character designs.
The whole 50 cents?
Yes, yeah, in this picture, I believe it's a prototype, or basically probably it's a recolored Soundwave. It was retooled. There's one on display in the display room, and they were selling some at my table. It is retooled to hold 2 cassettes instead of 1, and he does come with buzzsaw. By the way, the original Soundwave in Japan did come with headphones, so play headphones, and I think it came with a different cassette. Kumihiko showed me yesterday. It's not here, obviously. Okay, move over. And at the time, other than Fortress Maximus, it was the most expensive toy out. Well, over $100 to buy this thing, and they're kind of hard to get, but I found a few around. They weren't the original die-cast versions of the Predacons, if any of you are familiar with those. All the Predacons in Japan were plastic, and they did have a color text spec. Yeah, there's one in the display room, that's why, and they had the color text specs for Predaking, and they had the Predaking picture. Yeah, also, starting, I believe, with 2010, which was basically the 2006 characters in Japan, they started doing like trading cards with the characters, and they had them for Hot Rod, Galvatron, and basically with the gift sets, this is how they got you. You only got the gift set character with the gift set, and you had to get separate ones to get separate characters. So, and they did that until Master Force, and then after, well, I'll get into that, you probably don't know what I'm talking about. But yeah, they all had cards, and generally they were only available with the toys. For $87 for the UK. Okay, yeah, in the UK they did have Fortress Maximus. They were supposed to recently, but a lot of problems, I guess, are involved with that. You know the reason? Exchange rate. So, yeah, because he's sitting in some warehouses somewhere, and they were supposed to go to the UK because all the kids wanted. They did have Scorponok and the other Headmasters. Anything else? Oh, the Monster Bots? Yeah, they didn't have the Monster Bots either. And in Japan, they had all the Monster Bots, but I think it was Rotusk or one of them that you had to get through Stars. You had to go through Takara Direct to get them. Also, that through Takara Direct you could get, well, actually that's going to the next year because those were actually available the next year. Okay. Soft vinyl. Most guys in Japan didn't know about it because evidently, this is what I've been told, they're made out of soft vinyl and they were stored in a warehouse and during a heat wave and they melted. So there is a guy in Japan that goes to all the shows for robot toys and stuff, and basically he's just showing them off because he's charging 50,000 yen each, which is about $500 each. So I'm like, no. I've got a very rich friend that might buy them and I don't do something with them, but very hard to find. Rarest products. They weren't in any catalogs or anything. Basically, they're not considered part of the basic lineup, but they did do RC, which people would be interested in. Also, they did a talking Galvatron and talking Rodimus Prime, or the Rodimus Convoy was his name. And they said like 3 or 4 things in Japanese. Galvatron wasn't quite as nice as the soft vinyl one, from what I've been told. I haven't seen the soft vinyl ones yet. Okay. And then, okay, yeah, I haven't started with it. Yeah, I won't ruin the ending for Headmasters. Okay, if you look in the lower part, you see they did two supplemental, basically re-colored target masters. One is Artfire, which is a white on red Inferno, and I believe Artfire was the original Inferno's name. Then the black one, which is Jazz, his name is Stepper. Stepper has Target Master Cyclonus' gun, and Artfire has Scourge's gun. So that's what they basically didn't. Oh, thing is, in this year for Japan, they didn't have Target Master, Hot Rod, Scourge, Cyclonus, Cuff, and Blur. They didn't do those characters. That's why they're very popular among Japanese collectors, especially Hot Rod. Hot Rod, the original one from Japan, is especially hard to get too. Very popular character, very underproduced in all countries. They had them in the UK though. They had all the Target Masters. Their catalog showed the wrong guns with the characters though. And Stepper Darkfire never appeared in the TV show. They did appear in basically I guess they would be Marvel's counterpart called TV Magazine, a Japanese children's magazine. They did do a comic strip between the original Transformers to Transformers Victory, which is about a 5-year span. They also did color supplements with most of them, and basically they did, I don't know, the comic strips, I'm not sure if they coincide with the color ones. You know, they do?
I don't know. The color ones, all they are basically tell you a little bit more about the characters. Try not to watch the show. The comics are for a kid-fied version of the stories. A lot simpler and a lot friendlier.
Okay, so basically what he said was the color ones are basically, they give you a little bit more information on the character, so you watch the TV show, and then the comic strip is a little bit more for a younger, much younger audience than the TV show. So it's kind of, you know, TV magazines are like between 2 and 6 years old, I think. A little bit older maybe. They did Power Rangers and everything before they came on here too, so it's basically that kind of magazine. So Stepper and Artfire did appear in that comic strip. Now, basically, for when they had 2010 and Headmasters come out, Oh, 2010. Yeah, they call it 2010. That's how they say it in Japan. 2010. Basically, in theirs, they rewrote it a little bit. Basically, it was a mystery where Galvatron came from. They didn't know he was Megatron because they didn't really transform the movie until '89. So all kids didn't know. So in TV Magazine, they've done spreads. I've actually got one of the copies where they show Galvatron and Megatron battling Ultra Magnus and Optimus Prime on Metroplex's shoulder. So basically, they were saying in the beginning they were separate. But in the comic strip, I don't think they ever did Megatron and Galvatron together. I haven't seen most of them. I only have a few, the early ones and the later ones. I don't have anything in the middle. And a TV Magazine also did print the pictures from the boxes. They did one for RCs. I'm wondering why they did one, but they do have one for RC. I've got that one here. What else? They did a lot of interesting things. That was the most interesting, I thought, though, that they didn't know who Galvatron was until after the movie. If you look to your left, that is 6-night recolored version of Quick Switch. Basically, in the series after Headmasters was called Master Force Super God Master Force, depending on the language you're speaking. Basically, Powermasters were called Godmasters. The way it's been explained to me is that they don't really know the meaning of power in that sense. Is that true?
I theorize because Captain Power was in Japan. I mean, could use
Okay,
power on.
that's possible. Yeah, Captain Power. Yeah, I was in Japan at the time. Okay, that's what? Yeah, God doesn't mean the same thing, so it wouldn't be considered. It wouldn't be considered blasphemous, I guess, in Japan because it's a different meaning. So they call them God Masters instead of Power Masters. But so that's the Master Force. Basically, is what I've been told. Master Force, some kind of energy being called Double Zet, comes and he has placed Double Z or okay, Double Z. Yeah, they've done English versions of these episodes in Malaysia, but not very well. Not very true to the stories either. But basically, he obtained some Transformer bodies, and basically he wants the energy between humans and the Transformers, like it's called Master Force. It's some kind of energy. Basically, the English version, they described it as like heaven energy and stuff like that, but those were very loosely translated. Basically, Double Zet wants to find the most powerful being, and he wants to absorb all the energy from the God Masters. And then Sixth Knight here, he was kind of like a rogue. He wasn't like Destron or Cybertron in the beginning, but yeah, he was a rogue basically. And they have him done as an Autobot, but they have a question mark up there basically saying no, they're not sure. So, but basically also Master Force, you're not really sure if the humans are in control of the robots or the robots are in control of the humans, because they get these bracelets and they say Master Force and they get the armor, become the engine.
For the duration of the series, the
human
Powermasters were the same personalities
as the robots, but at the end of the series, some kind of miracle happens, and the robots become separated from the God Master. Also, they had junior Headmasters, which were basically pre-adolescent, adolescent kids that were Headmasters. In the Headmaster series, basically, they were just small Transformers that built larger bodies because they were on a very harsh planet. And, or the way to pronounce it is Goshuka, and I believe. And ours was a gray fire car version. This one is a white police car. And then at the bottom, it's a recut. That's Minerva, the only female Transformer they ever made in Japan.
Minerva.
No, actually, I had somebody from what is it? Osaka said it's pronounced Minerva, so I don't know. Or it could be that. The L's and R's in Japan are hard to interpret. I don't know, somebody told me from Japan it's Minerva, but maybe they're trying to give it to English. Maybe they're trying to...
That is how it's pronounced. It'd be created with transliteration.
Yeah, that's true. But it's basically a recolored Night Beat toy. That what? Yeah, I know. Yes. Question?
You said they were regarding Flesh and Soundwave. When they destroyed each other, wasn't Flesh destroyed? Didn't another character take on the actor?
I don't know how that works, because they basically... Well, I've got them here. I've got them share. I've got that one. I brought a demo tape, so if anybody wants to watch them, if we have time. Blaster's name was Broadcast. I believe that there was a freebie, a handout that had all the names. I don't know. Maybe somebody hogged and didn't give everybody else. I don't know. All my flyers went, and I had tons of them.
What sound
Sound Blaster.
It was Sound Blaster.
Yeah. Basically, it got a little bit different. Not much different though. On the other side, right? They have. They're all mapped. Okay, this is the second catalog for Master Force. Basically, the Pretender in the center, upper center part is Metal Hawk. He is the leader of the Pretenders. Basically, Super God Master Force started out with the Pretenders. I don't know if you like Pretenders. He's a really nice Pretender. I know a lot of collectors didn't like them. Yeah, he's partly die-cast metal. His whole chest is die-cast metal. Somebody described it as if you threw it at somebody's head, it would break their skull. So, and every time I talk to this guy, he'd say the same thing. It's like, oh, I know. Metal Hawk, I don't know why they didn't release him here. He's slightly taller than the other Pretenders. You don't see Landmine. He started out as a mail order And then eventually they did release them as Cybertron 200. Yeah, they gave numbers. They started doing like C for Cybertron, D for Destron numbers with the characters in 2010. Basically, Metalhawk is 201. Lander was 200. I think he still has one over there, and a Metalhawk. Actually the Lander is, or it's Landmine, but they call him Lander. They eventually did put him in a box, but it's the rarest one because they didn't produce that many because it was basically at the end of the season. Moving over, okay, this is not Powermaster Optimus Prime. In the Master Force series, this was Super Jinrai. Basically, he was made to honor the likeness of Convoy, which was Optimus Prime. And if you notice, actually that's what the toy looks like. It had more chrome than ours. The plastic's better. It has real blue windows. The front of the cab is die-cast metal. It's better. Ours, in an earlier, I didn't show it in the early catalog, but they do show ours. Basically, it served as Takara's prototype for theirs. The armor is a prototype. I'll show you the actual one. You've probably seen it in the display room. That's God Bomber, and combined with Super Jinrai, they become God Jinrai, or pronounced in Japan, they Gota Jinrai. And that prototype is much nicer. They only had it advertised at 2,100 yen. Probably cost a lot more to produce it than that. They did eventually change it to a slightly cheaper, or actually a much cheaper version of it. And it looks more like the one in the TV show. This one has some extra wings on it. It looks a lot nicer though. Nicest prototype. Actually, it's probably not even a prototype. It's probably a sample model. The prototypes usually start in no color, and it looks like a real toy. Doesn't look like a foam thing or anything. It could be though. I'm not sure. Any more questions? Oh yeah, Super Jinrai has retractable fists. There's one on display in the display room, or there was if you saw it. And God Bomber. Yeah. This character right here is Grand Maximus. Basically, in Master Force, Fortress Maximus sent him to Earth to help out the Godmasters. Basically the same thing as Fortress Maximus, except he has the sword, a different color obviously. He also was a pretender in the TV show. Basically, they never showed the robot form, they just showed the pretender. Basically, pretenders were human size, and then they would yell pretender, and then they would grow into the robot. Basically, I thought it was a bit better concept than having like 35-foot humans. Marvel must have their brains somewhere else,
Pretender was the head of Cerebros.
Yeah, the pretender is the head. Basically, they never even showed him. See, the other pretender, they actually show all this big thing. With him, they just basically show the head come on him, and they don't really show anything. So his name is Grand. So it's Grand and then Grand Maximus. On the lower, the videotape right there is video one, basically the compilation. It came with those, it's the cards. It's one of the things that came with cards, so you didn't have to buy the toys. It didn't come with all the cards though, but it came with Fortress Maximus. Scorponok, 6 shots, Train Bots, Metalhawk, Go Shooter, most of the Target Masters and Headmasters. Also with it you got this metal bat right here. And that was with that. Then next to it are the Godmaster rings, 2 different colors. I got one set. They're basically made for kids. You can't wear them unless you're like about between 5 and 8 years old or something like that. Those were on a blister card. They're kind of hard to get. Yeah, the other side. This one in the center is Black Zurich. According to the TV magazine story, Scorponok Sama, which is the head for Megazeric. They call the head Scorponok. According to TV Magazine, I don't have this, but somebody told me that he is inside Black Zeric somewhere, but Black Zeric is not a headmaster. He gets his head blown off a few times, but he's not a headmaster. Technically, the toy is, because it's tool to be a headmaster, basically, is a Scorponok. There is it comes with a head that goes under that head, basically. In the your left and center, the Predaking is Browning. In the TV show, he was the actual size. He transformed into a little robot. Basically, the kid that was Squeeze plays Headmaster, Cancer, yeah. His name was Cancer, by the way, Squeeze plays. That would be his gun. And got him out of a lot of trouble. In the English version, they aired in Malaysia. They called him Megatron. And he does shoot pellets. He is from the original Microman series, so not a very original toy. Like to redo things all the time in Japan. The top toy in the center is Overlord. Overlord is a double Powermaster in the TV show, or double Godmaster. One engine's a female, one engine's a male. Males basically in control and in robot mode, obviously in Japan. And the male part, he has the tank and the female has the jet. If you notice, the jet, part of the jet is a weapon on the side of his arm. And this was available in the UK eventually in '91. They had it part of the '91 line. I don't know, assuming Transformers did well in 1990, this probably would have been sold in the United States. But maybe not. At the bottom, you see Darkwing and Dreadwing. They're slightly different colors. Darkwing, which is Hydra, has red instead of blue shoulders and feet. And then they have chrome paint metallized parts on the engines. And same thing with Dreadwing, which is his name's Buster. That's like the comic book character, Buster. And they didn't quite pronounce it that way, but close enough. Also, they sold these as a set, so it was on display, and the guys in Japan had it sold. And it has a third tech specs for their combined mode. And they called it Dark Wings, their combined mode. And they gave a lot of trouble. Eventually, the characters, they were human, but Double Zet actually turned them into mechanoids. So, because they wanted more power to defeat God Jinrai. Basically, God Jinrai had this power, like called fire guts, right? Fire guts, and he would turn into like some kind of sort of energy, Godmaster energy, and he like just totally annihilated everything he touched. So they needed more power, and they eventually just lost. Mechanoid. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, not much for the UK. Basically, they had a lot of the same toys. I'm not really sure. They didn't get to be pretenders and things. Some things were exclusives in the UK. Okay, after Transformers Master Force, we had Transformers Victory with on the top is the Multi-Force with Landcross. Very interesting transformations. This toy is about 32 transformations. It's amazing. They actually had one. I think they sold it. Basically, the two pieces for each character turn into a separate character, and then one can go on top of the other to become another character, and then they're all interchangeable. So it's like, yeah, I don't know. Let me show it.
You see the Galvatron that I know?
6 individual characters plus about 30 different permutations.
Basically, there's how many transformations. All these.
The Galvatron.
Cool toy.
You can see the name.
Too bad I didn't have it here.
You better watch your back.
Yeah, I got the one that beat up box.
Okay, the one that looks like Six Shot on the bottom is Bright Shot. Oh, is that actually? No, that is not Six Shot. Oh, Six Shot. Oh no, they thought he was killed, but he wasn't. Six Shot was actually a ninja in the Japanese series. But the thing is, ninjas are. He's he's an assassin here. Ninjas are assassins, so basically it's the same thing. This is the Japanese way of saying it. It's a ninja. Basically, a six shot had this incredible power. He could actually turn into all 6 components and be solid and attack. He's able to defeat a lot of people. And actually kill Ultra Magnus doing that. The character in the middle is Road Teaser. This is these are the carved brain masters, basically something like Headmasters, except they're robots. They're not humans. They're basically small transformers, and they basically slide into the face, and they all combine to become Road Teaser. The toys are rather large, about Predacon scale. So, but they're not independently. They don't look that great, but combined they look pretty nice as Road Teaser. And their names are Blacker, Laster, and Braver. So that was the order down. And I believe, Blacker was the leader. Okay. And the leader of the Autobots in this series was Star Saber. And Star Saber is basically it's kind of like a Powermaster Optimus Prime, but a jet version. The small jet turns into a small robot that combines with the larger part of the jet in the middle, and it just runs to the center of the large part of the robot. He's a brain master, yes. I don't know if he also, if you saw it on display room, he's combined with another Transformer called Victory Leo, and the toy is largest Transformer with the exception of Fortress Maximus, so pretty large. And both toys were rather nice and expensive. They did do a gift set for that too. That was less than the Predator King set though, even though it was better. Yeah. Okay, and then this character, the dragon, is I don't know how people pronounce it. Most people generally like to not call him Desaurus. It's basically Desaurus. Yeah, Desaurus basically, that'd be a good English pronunciation. He's a part of the Breastforce. Basically, people when they do, I know a few people that have done fanzines and they like to call them the Beast Force instead of that, which is probably more acceptable in the country. You know, in Japan, they're not so uptight and stuff like that. Oh, in certain ways. Just kidding, I'm trying to insult anyone. He has two, they call them Breastforce because they're on his chest, the lion, or there's a lion and there's I think it's a stallion or an eagle. It's an eagle? It's an eagle. And he's the leader of the Decepticons in Transformers Victory. Okay, and then on the top, where the arrow is Lio Kaiser. And Lio Kaiser is a special team, basically, of 6 characters. Lio Kaiser, then I'll go left to right. Leozak, Skyhawk, Hellbat, Jaguar, Kill Bison, I believe, or Key Bison, Kill Bison, and what's his name? Killhorn. Ow. Didn't sound like Killhorn. But yeah, they're rather nice. Kind of small.
I didn't know.
Combined. Oh yeah, they were also 4 of these were recolored for the UK as Autobots, but I have the catalogs. We'll explain that later.
He looks this way.
Then in the where the arrows
Man,
going,
you couldn't put anybody there.
these are, you can't see them that well, but basically they're Crossblades and Thunderwing. They've been retooled so they have different faces and they're different colors. They're not Pretenders, they're called Crossformers. Basically they appeared in 1 episode and they were with, they battled Great Shot. Basically their shell is part of the robotic body, so it's not a Pretender in concept, when you think of it. The character next to it is he is Dino King. He's a recolored Monstructor, but he doesn't come with the monster ones. His shells are dinosaurs. They call them the Dino Force. And I don't know their names. They're Japanese names. I remember a couple like Doryu and Kakaru. It's like all ends with U. But Dino King's like not Japanese. I don't know the dinosaurs offhand, but I think one's a Tyrannosaurus Rex, one's a Triceratops, one's a Stegosaurus, one's a Pteranodon, and one's a Brontosaurus is not correct, but used to be Brontosaurus. And then the other one I'm not really sure about. Move it over. Basically, this is a silhouette of what Victory, Leo, and Starsaber look combined. There was one catalog, like 6 shots. Great shot came with a catalog where they put the tab over it, says like, can you figure out the transformation? They put it over the actual pamphlet too. So, but I've seen it, and actually they did redo the catalog with the picture. So I don't have that, but oh, is the other type of God bomber? They didn't see that one. This is the actual God bomber they've released in Japan. It looks much different than the actual toy. I guess you'd call them Super Powermaster Optimus Prime. I guess a lot of people do. Also, if you notice, Double Dealer, which is called Double Clouder, was a little bit different to us. It's not much of a color change, really, but enough that collectors might want it. They, for some reason, they didn't do metallized parts on the Godmasters for some reason. I don't know why, but the one I had doesn't have it. Yeah, that's it. After Transformers Victory, they did Transformers Zone. Unfortunately, only 1 episode was produced. Allegedly 6 were planned, but nobody really knows for sure. There could be scripts around for them. It was only it was an OVA, original video animation, or OAV, whatever you want to call it. But you had to buy it. It came in a box, and it came with a recolored Micromaster, Skystalker Micromaster. He's blue instead of orange. And it had a tech spec and everything like that. And the video is really nice. They played it earlier today. Nobody was watching. Oh well. Transformers Zone was okay. One really nice thing about it, and you can see it. You can see it in the picture in the upper left-hand corner. You see Galaxy Shuttle. You can put him on countdown. You have to move one of the pieces in the corner, but you can't set him on countdown. So that was really nice. There's 2 different box versions of this. I just found this out today. Same thing with Starsaber, 2 different box versions. A few other things too. Basically, for the large characters, they're all prototype or early sample models. They look much different. I've seen 3 different prototypes. 3 different versions of Diatrus or Diatlus, whatever you want to call them.
Are they available?
They're available in Japan. You can get them. They did Diatrus. He's motorized like Star. Well, you don't know Star Convoy yet, but he's motorized. A lot of people didn't. Well, some people liked him, but the one thing that a lot of people didn't like about him is he got like somebody calls it the stick leg syndrome, where the legs are stuck together. Yeah, so he's a really nice base for the Micromasters. Each one of these characters, except for Galaxy Shuttle, came with a Micromaster. I think his Diatrus's was Speeder, and then Sonic, and Cybertron C347 is Sonic Bomber. That's a prototype, doesn't look anything like that. Or it does, it's got basically the same shape, but head and weapon are different. And basically, he can, if you push the button, the arms go down by themselves. They show it right there. He came with a Micromaster as well called Sonic. And I have kind of weird names. For this year, they only did 1 large Decepticon, which was Metro Titan, a recolored Metroplex. at this time in Japan, evidently it's been this way for a long time. A lot of evil characters do not sell very well, so they only did. And then the line started going. Probably the best line was Victory, and then it started going down after that. And so they only did that one. They did a few. Most of the Micromasters that we have, they have here. But they had most of them as Autobots instead of Decepticons. Such as they have, I think it's Landshaker. Theirs is Landshaker and Sky Hyper, and ours was Skyhopper and I think Groundshaker. Landshaker and Groundshaker are the same, except they come with different Micromasters and the labels are different, and boxes obviously are different. Sky Hyper is an Autobot, totally recolored, different Micromaster. The Micromasters they have, by the way, are recolored from our patrols. And I think they had the patrols as well. They had like all the transports and houses and stuff like that for Micromasters. They call them Micro-Transformers. This is basically a year after we had them, so I was surprised they even got them. But by the way, you know, they never got Action Masters in Japan. But a lot of those guys in Japan, they just love Action Masters. I know. They just loved Action Masters like we did. Yeah. That's not the actual picture though. Okay. This is a I guess an early character design for Roadfire. Basically, he can combine with Diatrus and Sonic Bomber to become big powered, because they were called Powered Masters. And this is a drawing of the toilets, nothing like this. It had Stiglet syndrome and looked nothing like that. This drawing, would have done the toy justice if it was like that, but doesn't. But yeah, they combined. That was sold as a gift set as well. Oh, by the way, Victory Saber, which is Star Saber and Victory Wheel, he was the first character to have all 10s on his tech spec chart. So he had all 10. Diatrus had all 10s. And they didn't do a tech spec for their combined mode, but in TV Magazine they did show numbers. Because basically in Japan, they'll take all the specs and add them up to a number, and that's their level. They're like power level or something like that. Oh, by the way, if you notice that the Insecticons, they were available through Stars. Also Skystalker. Skystalker, is that Skystalker? Yeah. He appeared in Transformer Victory. That was their transport ship for the Breastforce and the Dinosaurs. But he wasn't available in the stores. You had to order them through Stars. But the thing is, you got them with the box. You got them with the United States box, I believe. Most of the stuff they got had boxes. Diaspora, whatever you want to call them. By the way, they did do the Omnibots in Japan and Ratchet through mail order, and because we had the Ratchet displays, like a white box with a tech spec on it. They also did that with the free Omnibots as well. So they didn't have boxes for them. Yes. No. No, it was our Ratchet, but they did do the cartoon version picture. Nope. No. I heard Hasbro UK has some kind of plans to do some more Action Masters, but I don't know if that's true or not. Oh, okay. Well, Doug Lynn here just told me that basically for the picture on the bottom with Diatrus, it was for kids that could call up Transformer Station, right? That's where they did all the stuff. It was an address. It wasn't Takara. It was called Transformer Station, and Transformer Station. You could call up and talk. He just told me you could call up to you and talk to your favorite Transformer. So. Yeah. By the way, Sky Gary was available in the United States as a Convertibot. Yeah. Well, I'll get into that later. Yeah, I know. Probably Takara's not happy about that. Not license. Okay. This is for the Battlestar series. By the way, Transformers Zone was the story was continued in TV magazines in the color page spreads only, no comic strips. Basically, it ended. Well, I'm not going to get into it, but if you want to know, you can ask me later. After Transformers Zone, they had Transformers the Battlestars, the Return of Convoy, which is Optimus Prime. Yes, he does come back again. The way they explain it, a being called Dark Nova, the new bad guy, which is a Unicron type, contrary to popular belief. A lot of guys in Japan told me he is not Unicron. He's a Unicron-like being. I've been told by a couple of guys in Japan that he's not Unicron. So it has been in print though. He has been, but I don't want to offend anybody, but that's the way it is. Gotta do it. Get all the facts right. If I'm wrong, oh well. Okay, yeah. Well, Dark Nova comes. In Headmasters, something happened to Galvatron, which I won't explain. Galvatron does get transformed into Super Megatron, and Super Megatron is a flying, basically fusion cannon jet. And then before this, Diatrice. That toy in the right is, on the upper right is Sky Gary. Diatrice asked Sky Gary to find, well, he gives Sky Gary something like the Matrix. It's called the what is it called? The Zodiac energy. And it's something like the Matrix, except it doesn't have a shell or anything. And he basically commissions Sky Gary to find Convoy's dead body. According to the story, it's written for small children. The Decepticons hid Convoy's body because they were scared of Convoy, Optimus Prime. And then in the story, Convoy's like not himself, and he battles Sky Gary, and eventually, I think that's what happened. It might not have happened. I think that's what happened though. And then eventually they. I believe he's subdued, and then they put the Zodiac energy, and he metamorphosizes like Rodimus Prime into Star Convoy. So that's the way the story goes. And then basically that's the parallel with Galvatron becoming Super Megatron. In this year, they had no Decepticon toys, no Super Megatron, because the kids don't want to buy the bad guys. And on the bottom is Grandos, the robot base, basically a big box. One of the worst toys in Japan. You can hook him up to Star Convoy, and he's got a motorized thing, and the elevator goes up and down. But that is Star Convoy. That is the first, the first promotional thing. I have another catalog which shows the actual prototype, which looks a little bit better than the actual toy. Always does. He does have the stick leg syndrome. If you didn't notice in the showroom, his gun's pretty cool. That's about it. And they don't show you in here, but he comes with a Micromaster hot rod. He was only available with Star Convoy. By the way, in the Battlestar story, they never mentioned hot rod that I know of. And basically, they're showing what it does. Now I'll get to it with the next catalog. On the bottom is a Micromaster special team, basically. You combine into 6-liner. First of its kind. They make a few more the next year. We'll get into that. Yeah. You're right. You're right. No. Okay, this is for this Transformers UK 91 and Europe, and actually these were actually distributed in Japan by Nomura Toys, Hasbro affiliate, or actually they own it. One of the told. These are the Headmasters from Japan, except that they were not available with the parts to combine, even though you can combine them. They are recolored. Ripper looks a bit different than he does in the picture here. Then Flame, those are the right colors. He's purple, and Lightspeed, originally, he's that color as well, and they don't combine. They want, basically what Hasbro told me is they wanted to market them as separate. They did not want to market them as a gift set. Basically, the way the market worked in the UK, then they just didn't want to do it. They didn't want to deal with it. So, and a lot of collectors were very disappointed when they found out about Road Caesar. So, actually, they knew about Road Caesar beforehand. A lot of them did. So, okay. Okay. Can you hear me? Okay. Okay.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, we'll do Overlord. Yeah, we're gonna show this anyway. Yeah, this is Overlord. A little bit better picture than the Japanese one. By the way, this catalog was not available with the toys. I believe it was a free pamphlet at the stores. Okay, yeah, and then you had to write off to Hasbro too to get some. So, bummer. But they didn't have the pamphlets. This is a booklet catalog. Okay. Oh, by the way, they weren't called the Brainmasters, and these Powermasters were not called Powermasters and Brainmasters. They were called Energon minifigures. And that's what they called them. I could read you the thing in the catalog too, basically. Okay, these are the 91 Action Masters that I actually had at my table today, except for the Elites. They're kind of rare. I don't know their names offhand, except for there's Bombshell, Sideswipe, and Trax. Then that's Power Flash. Can't remember. But they were the fourth assortment Action Masters. The cards were a little bit different, but they were in complete English. This is last year. They had complete English on the packaging. Okay. Okay, then these are the Action Master Elites. They do transform, contrary to, the meaning of Action Masters. But I believe it's on the top. It's what? Turbo Master, Windmill, Double Punch, and Omega Supreme. That is not Omega Supreme. I don't know. I talked to Vinny DeVilla from Hasbro one time, DeLeva, whatever it is, and he kind of said that, I don't know if this is exactly true, or I don't know, I would believe it is, since he told me that Takara kind of messed up on the name, so I guess it is supposed to be Omega Supreme, but the bio card is completely different. It's not him, but a lot of people generally assume that is Omega Supreme. Double Punch is not Corcoran. He has a slight resemblance to actually the Black Xeric from the Japanese series. Okay, on the left we have a recolored sprocket. That's Circuit, and they're called exosuit vehicles, as you can read, if you can read that. And not, then the one I liked the most was, except for the colors, Thundercrackers, Action Master. Basically, it's a recolored Starscream, but I like the vehicle. And they were completely in boxes. These toys are also available in, I believe, Australia, and I know Hong Kong, and mainland Europe. And then the recolored Wheeljack and the recolored Axer, right? Or Rumbler and Slicer. I don't know which is which, but they are motorized exosuits, which means that you put battery, two AA batteries in them, and they'll roll them. They go about 5 miles per hour or something like that. A bit faster than anything they've had electronic yet. But
Scale 5 miles an hour. I've got.
I don't know. Okay, 2. I don't know. I don't time it. I don't have time. 92 UK. These toys, you'll get to see this later, but these were all available in Japan as well. The top ones are the Turbomasters, and the bottom ones are the Predators. Oh, well, I have the wrong catalog. I have the European one from, I think, Germany. So they call them Scope Masters and Cannon Masters, but the actual UK names were Turbomasters and Predators. And basically, I believe Hasbro UK wanted to get back. They're bilingual. This is when they started doing the bilingual catalogs, by the way. And I believe Hasbro UK wanted to get back to the original concept of Transformers, jets, and planes. Not completely, but I don't know. I think this is the best UK line. I think it's one of the best lines, period. Especially Rotorstorm, much nicer than Whirl. And basically, Whirl wasn't even original. It was from Bandai. And I guess the picture of the Rotorstorm. Oh, it is. Well, the top ones, okay, we can't get the whole picture in there, but that is Rotorstorm. He's the medium-sized Turbomaster, or Cannon Master, whatever you want to call him. And the bottom one is Stalker. That's a prototype. He's a little bit, these different colors. And I think that those were in my opinion, those were the best toys of the line. The other one in the end, the one on top is Thunderclash, or for this catalog it would probably be Eagle, and on the bottom is Skyquake, and for this catalog it would be Crash. I don't know why they didn't put the names in there. Not very good marketing, but I don't know, it's probably good for Europe, but these things are a bit different. I didn't explain the thing though. Okay, they had some kind of special functions for the Decepticons. All the jets had a little, I guess, I can explain it like this. The middle-sized one, the large weapon he has is a viewfinder type thing, and they have, he has one sight of like I think it's Rotorstorm in his scope, but the smaller Predator jets can fit on top of Stalker, and they have a one on the bottom, and it's a different picture for each one. And then they can also combine with Skyquake as well. Skyquake has a picture of Optimus Prime. People were debating if this was going to be a new Optimus Prime toy. Basically, in my opinion, it was just a artist conception of the original, but yeah, it could tell all of the interpretation. We weren't sure what was going through Hasbro UK's mind. So, and by the way, when they had these in Canada, they did these names like Eagle, Crash, he was Buzzard, Storm, but they called them Predators and German, right? In Canada? You don't know? It's in your newsletter. That's what it's been called. So basically, they had like 3 different things going around there. Okay, this is the actual picture for Star Convoy. Actually, this is a prototype. The thing on his brow doesn't have points on it, the actual one. And then his hands and all the silver parts are white on the actual toy. And he's also motorized, as you can see. And basically, he was a Micromaster base, which didn't make many happy. But in the United States. I don't know. I got the point. You talking about the one that was selling?
No, the one where it's like talking sense. Yeah, Hasbro's okay, but
Hot rod.
was a hot rod.
I don't know, but he wanted to buy it. Well, you can buy Star Convoy. They sell for $100 or more. Okay, this was the the last of the Transformers in Japan. Basically, they ended up with Micromaster, which a lot of collectors were excited about. The one on the top left is 6 builder. The one on the top right is 6 turbo. The one under 6 builder is 6 wing, and the one under 6 turbo is 6 train. And 6 train basically is a recolored 6 liner. They retooled the head. And then, they did the Turbo Masters and Predators. They did them in versus sets. So you actually got to buy them in a box and foam instead of a blister card. Japan, their marketing, they wanted, I guess, the marketing was to try to sell them together so they could sell some sort of bad guy. Because they couldn't figure it out. And, what else? Oh, by the way, and for these, the box art, they changed the box art for the Predators and Powermasters for Japan. Then the one in the top right is Guard City, a recolored Guardian or Defensor. And 3 of the parts are recolored, and 2 of them aren't. And kind of strange. No, they make too many Defensors. Oh yeah, they did show him that they did do a recolored Bruticus too, called Battle Gyre. And he is not shown in the catalog, but he was the last one to be produced in Japan. So that was the end of the line there. No. Oh no, Japan canceled Transformers. Basically, Takara wanted to go on to new robot lines such as X-Kaiser, Firebirds, Reid Police, stuff like that. There are no more Transformers. They considered, I heard that they considered recoloring these again and selling them again for Christmas last year, but Takara decided not to. And UK is still doing Transformers in the United States, is doing them for a while. UK too. Yeah, do that one. Okay, this is 93 UK. I don't know the names offhand. I'll go to the subgroups. The 2 large ones were sold as leaders. One is Pyro and the other one is Clench. But for this year, I don't know if they're still sold or if they were an in-between toy or what, but they repackaged them as Generation 2 as Spark and Colossus. I don't know why they changed the names. They have the same bio though, so, and then these were in bilingual packaging, but Generation 2 are in trilingual, so. And then the bottom left are the light formers, and the ones next to them are the accelerators. They had those here, except theirs had pink windows and pink eyes instead of the gray ones. Not really much of a difference though. They didn't come on Generation 2 cards, they came on regular cards. Actually, in my opinion, the box art for the Hasbro UK is much better than the Generation 2 stuff that's out. But everything's different now in the UK. They do a different packaging and everything. The rotors look better.
Thank you.
And that's the box art, but the toys are the same. Except, okay, then they also had the Sky Scorchers. They didn't really have a name for them here. One of them was called Snipe, if any of you remember getting the mini bot, and it had said Snipe on the card, and they put a sticker over it that said Afterburner, but they changed it. They eventually fixed it, but Snipe is the UK version. And then in Europe, all the names, even for like 91 to 92 toys, they changed the names for all those in Europe. So, and then it's Italy does them different, and there's so much. What else? In the upper, on the top here, on the right are the Stormtroopers. In the UK, they decided to do 8 color changing robots instead of 4. These were the original ones for the UK. They weren't recolored or anything. They were original. And they're Decepticons. They were repackaged as well in Generation 2 packaging, but the original one was original packaging was different. And there were there's some variations. And then we ended at the bottom. At the bottom, they have the track-ons, which are the Decepticon counterparts, like formers. I don't know. They have some really bad gimmick. Yeah, they have like a big project, some kind of image. Wasn't that great though. The Predator, though, the line before it was better. What? Anybody?
Who's idea was to name one of the color change robots?
I don't know. That's Hasbro.
That's an originality.
Okay. This is these are Transformers of Brazil. They did Transformers in Brazil for 1 year. Basically, they did all these recolored things. There's some original ones which we'll put on. I have 3 sheets. Basically, we have 2 color versions of Bumblebee, 2 color versions of Bumble Jumper, if you are familiar with that one, and then there is they have 2 versions of Wind Charger, and then 2 versions of Gears, 2 versions of Brawn, 2 versions of Cliff Jumper. And by the way, they're gone. You can't get them anymore. They were done in '85 in countries like Brazil, South American countries. They don't keep stock like, Japan keeps the most, we keep some, they keep none. So, okay, and then you see the box there, their box design. They didn't have the Ottawa sales. They didn't even have names, really. They call them Saltman X, or they call Bumblebee. What did they call Bumblebee? Volks. They call Bumblebee Volks, and like for Volkswagen. And basically, they did recolor jump starters, Saltman X, and then the other 2 are Saltman Z. And all I can say is a lot of collectors are getting things. Is it? Oh well. Okay, salt is jump in Spanish, when somebody told me, but it's Portuguese, so I'm not sure if it's exactly the same. It's kind of close though. Because Brazil's Portuguese speaking. Anybody's going to Brazil? Okay, these are the only original Transformer toys, per se, that they made in Brazil. They're called Transformer Electrics Esporte. And the 3, 1 black and red, 1 blue, as you can see. They did the board game. And they have a Cliff Jumper puzzle. And whatever the heck that is. Paint by number. Yeah, those Brazilians really know how to do it. Oh, by the way, a lot of people, I didn't know about Brazilian Transformers. I had an idea because they do a lot of Brazilian G.I. Joes. G.I. Joe which goes over really well. I think they're still doing them. And actually, they actually call it G.I. Joe there now. But in this along with this catalog, they had the pictures of the first G.I. Joes too, if you're familiar with that. So, but they only did Transformers 1 year. I guess it didn't come and hit for that. Okay, got one more thing. Yeah, one more thing before we conclude. How many guys in Japan? I showed the guys in Japan this, and I'm like, oh wow. They did some of the store displays in Japan for some of the characters. This is Super Jinrai, and next to him, to his knees, that's Grand Maximus, which is Fortress Maximus, basically, up to his knees. So it's about 6 feet tall, and costs about $250. I could probably get them, but shipping's probably more than that. And they also did a small Convoy display, and they also did Unicron's head with, I think it had glowing lights on it. And kind of hard to get, though. Any questions? Any quick questions? No, I guess not. What? Hello, what time do I have? Okay, I don't have much time. Okay? Okay, well that does it for the International Transformers. Didn't get everything. If any questions, you can ask me.
If you do want some more information on the Japanese cartoon,
Okay, just a real quick announcement. This is a fanzine by Makoto Ito, who goes by the name Stars 104A. Some of you may have heard of seen his work. Some of it's on display in the collection room. He is extremely eager to know what Americans and other foreigners too, and deference to the people over here, think of his work. And he sent me, unfortunately, because of postage restraints, only 10 copies, which he wanted to be given out. And I will give them out, but with the proviso that whoever gets them, first of all, eventually submits some sort of written opinion that I can pass along to him, and then propagates those to other people so they can send in what they think of it. He really doesn't want to know what people think of his work. He said if there's enough response, he may do an entirely English-American version of this fanzine. There is an English section that I did for him in the book, which basically describes how he got his own ideas for Transform fanzine started, and a Transformers universe entry for the character of Harry, which is his own original design. That's it.